imaging in abdominal diseases. Is my voice clear? Audible? Okay. For abdominal diseases, we usually perform plain radiograph, ultrasound, CT scan, and the contrast studies. The first line of investigation for abdominal diseases is either plain radiograph or ultrasound, depending upon the patient's signs and symptoms. If the if we suspect pneumoperitoneum or because of the bowel perforation, the first line of investigation will be plain radiograph. But for other causes of acute abdomen, like acute appendicitis, acute cholecystitis, hepatic abscess, these type of pathologies are suspected, then the first line of investigation will be ultrasound, because plain radiograph will not give that much of, or I think it's not suitable for these diseases. Further, then the second line of investigation will be CT scan. After doing the plain radiograph and ultrasound, we proceed to CT scan for further evaluation. Okay, chat box is on. If you have any questions, you can ask. Okay, I have added few slides for the ultrasound of abdomen. अच्छा, आप लोग थोड़े ओरिएंटेड हैं अल्ट्रासाउंड एब्डोमेन से? Because you are final year student, तो आप लोग ओरिएंटेड हैं अल्ट्रासाउंड एब्डोमेन से? Can you hear me?
जी मैडम, आ रही है आपकी आवाज, कंटिन्यू करें.
Okay. अच्छा, this is probe positioning to scan the liver. So the patient is lying supine and this is ultrasound probe, and when we place this ultrasound probe in parasagittal plane subcostally, this type of image is achieved. This is ultrasound image, and the ultrasound images are inverted images. This is superior side and this is inferior side. So this is showing the diaphragm, this is liver, and this is the kidney. In this section, liver, right lobe of the liver and the right kidney is visualized. Then when we place probe in transverse section in the epigastric region, this image is achieved. It's showing the left lobe of liver. This green one is the pancreas, portal vein, and IVC, and the right kidney and the left kidney in transverse section. All these images are in the transverse section, and pancreas appears as a comma shape. And this one is the aorta. And spine is not visualized because of the posterior acoustic shadowing, because dense organs like the bone gives posterior acoustic shadowing and cannot be visualized on the ultrasound. Now when we have to look gallbladder, we put the probe longitudinally, subcostally in the parasagittal plane, and tilt the probe towards the right side. We get this type of image, and this is longitudinal section of gallbladder. This is fundus, and this is neck of the gallbladder. Along with this is right lobe. the wall should be less than 3 millimeter. And to see spleen, it is done in the lateral decubitus position, and the probe is placed in the subcostally, and this type of image is achieved. Again, this is superior pole of the spleen, and this one is the inferior pole of the spleen. This is diaphragm, and this is kidney, left kidney. When we put probe in the hypogastrium transversely, this type of image of the bladder is achieved. You can appreciate the wall is non-measurable, and the lumen is anechoic. When fluid does not contain any debris or pus, then the fluid will be anechoic on ultrasound. Now, these are the sections of contrast enhanced CT scan abdomen, and these can be done for hepatic lesion and for other pathologies of the other viscera. Now, this one is the non-enhanced CT scan, means no contrast, intravenous contrast has been given, and you can appreciate that the this one is the liver, this is stomach, and this is the spleen, and this is the spine, and these are the ribs. So after giving contrast, this is arterial phase, and the early arterial phase is taken after 15 to 20 seconds of giving contrast, and the late arterial phase is taken at 35 to 40 seconds, and this is taken at the late arterial phase at 35 to 40 seconds. Here you can see contrast is seen in the aorta, and kidney shows corticomedullary phase. Medulla is not enhancing while the cortex is enhancing, and spleen is also showing enhancement. But no enhancement is seen in the liver. Why? Because liver is supplied to 70% of the liver is supplied by portal vein. So liver will enhance in the portal veins. Only 30% of blood supply is received by the hepatic artery. So liver does not enhance in arterial phase, while in venous phase you can see there is homogeneous enhancement of the liver. So this is venous phase, and this is taken at 70 to 80 seconds. Here you can see contrast has this is aorta showing contrast enhancement, but now the washout of contrast is seen from the aorta, and a little bit IVC can be visualized, and there is homogeneous enhancement of the liver. Spleen is also not showing that much enhancement as it was showing in the arterial phase, and this kidney is showing nephrographic phase. Homogeneous enhancement of the cortex and the medulla is visualized in this phase. For kidneys, it will call nephrographic phase, and for the liver, it will cause portal venous phase. Now, this is delayed phase, and it is usually taken 6 to 10 minutes after giving contrast. And now contrast has washed out from the kidneys and the liver, spleen, and the aorta. Now, starting from the plain radiograph, I told you the plain radiograph is advised when the when surgeon or physician has to see the pneumoperitoneum. So these both views are normal views. The first X-ray which we advise is the erect chest X-ray to look for pneumoperitoneum, and this other one is the supine abdominal X-ray. To take erect chest X-ray for the pneumoperitoneum, patient is asked to stand for 10 minutes and then X-ray chest is taken. So the free air will collect under the diaphragm. This is normal chest X-ray, and here you can see no free air is seen. This is stomach bubble, and this is normal supine abdominal X-ray. Excuse me, excuse me. Sorry. This is supine, normal supine abdominal X-ray, where you can see air is seen in the stomach, and few air bubbles are seen in the ascending colon, the transverse colon. This is liver, and this is shadow of the left kidney, and this is shadow of the right kidney, and it is hidden by these air bubbles. This is left psoas muscle, and this one is the right psoas muscle, and this is the lumbosacral spine and the pelvis. This is bladder area. Now this is X-ray chest frontal projection demonstrating the pneumoperitoneum. Here you can see free air is seen under the diaphragm. This is the pneumoperitoneum. Most common cause of the pneumoperitoneum is the perforated hollow viscus, and trauma like the gunshot injury or penetrating injury, and it can be seen post-operatively. Now there are certain signs which can be assessed on the abdominal radiograph for pneumoperitoneum. This is X-ray abdomen supine view demonstrating the pneumoperitoneum. Here you can see both walls, both sides of the wall of the bowel loops are visualized. In the previous X-ray, you cannot visualize the wall of the stomach or the ascending colon. But in this case, when the air is present in the peritoneal cavity, and as well as air is also present in the bowel loops, both sides of the wall can be appreciated, and this is called as Wriggler sign. Here you can appreciate both sides of the wall, and this is called as Wriggler sign. Rigler, Wriggler sign. Now air is also demarcating the falciform ligament, and this is called as falciform ligament sign. Air has also collected under the liver, the subhepatic space, so you can appreciate the lower border of the liver, and free air is also noted in the paracolic gutters. These are the paracolic gutters. So regular sign and falciform ligament sign, and air is seen in the subhepatic space. Now this is a X-ray abdomen supine view of a child demonstrating football sign. Whole of the peritoneal cavity is visualized in this case because of the free air in the peritoneal cavity, and this is called as football sign. This is football sign. Again, a regular sign is also visualized. Both sides of the bowel wall can be visualized because of the free air in the peritoneal cavity and the intraluminary. This is regular sign. This football sign is usually seen in the children, and this is a case of necrotizing enterocolitis. Again, this is X-ray abdomen supine view demonstrating regular sign. All the bowel loops are visualized because of the intraperitoneal free air and the intraluminal air. Even the haustra and valvulae can also be appreciated because of the free air inside and outside. This is again X-ray abdomen supine view of a child demonstrating football sign. Free air is seen in the peritoneal cavity. And here you can see liver. Okay, one thing I would like to add over here, if the bowel loops are fluid filled and obstructed, bowel loops are not visualized on the X-ray abdomen. For that case, CT scan will be the modality of choice. Now these are sections of contrast in and CT scan abdomen. This is soft tissue window demonstrating multiple air loculi. Last point, okay. If these bowel loops are fluid filled, they are not air filled. In case of obstruction, then they are not visualized on X-ray abdomen. Then the CT scan will be modality of choice, because fluid filled bowel loops are not visualized on the X-ray abdomen. Fluid filled bowel loops are visualized on the ultrasound and CT scan. But if their bowel loops are air filled, they will not visualize on the ultrasound. But they are, if they are fluid filled, then they will be visualized on ultrasound and CT scan. These are limitations of X-ray abdomen and ultrasound. I will repeat again. Fluid-filled bowel loops are visualized on ultrasound and CT scan. They are not visualized on X-ray abdomen. Air-filled bowel loops are visualized on X-ray abdomen and CT scan, but they are not visualized on ultrasound. Now these are sections of contrast enhanced CT scan abdomen, soft tissue window demonstrating multiple air loculi. Here you can see this is air, this is free air, and I cannot differentiate between this air and this air, that whether it is lung air or the free air. So for that purpose, we see these images in the lung window. This is lung window. But ma'am, do make out diagnosis of intestinal obstruction on supine abdomen X-ray? Yes, we do make out diagnosis of intestinal obstruction, but in that case, I will show you images of the small bowel obstruction and the large bowel obstruction afterwards. Okay, then I'll tell you details of it. Now, I cannot differentiate between this free air and the lung. So for that purpose, I will see this window in the lung window. Here you can see lung parenchyma is visualized and no lung parenchyma is visualized in this free air. And falciform ligament is also visualized. So this is free intraperitoneal air and this is the lung. These are the some portions of the lungs are visualized in this section. Now again, this is X-ray abdomen, supine view, demonstrating falciform ligament sign. This is falciform ligament, and on CT scan in the B, this is contrast and CT scan abdomen, demonstrating the hemopneumperitoneum. This is fluid and air fluid level, and this is free air, demonstrating the falciform ligament. So this is hemopneumperitoneum. Now coming to the hepatic axis, this is ultrasound image taken at the level of IVC and hepatic veins. This one is the IVC and the right hepatic vein, middle hepatic vein and the left hepatic vein. Part of the left hepatic vein is obscured by the mass effect of this liver abscess. There is large thick wall cavity with the anechoic fluid and gaping, and it is surrounded by edema. This is hepatic abscess. Again, this is ultrasound image of the right lobe of liver, demonstrating a thick wall cavity with homogeneous low level echoes. These are echoes in the cavity. If they are hypoechoic, then they are called the low level echoes. If they are hyperechoic or whitish in color, then they are called as high level echoes. These echoes will be called high level echoes, and high level echoes are formed by the air or the hemorrhage within the cavity. And low level echoes are formed by the pus. So this is hepatic abscess, and it is drainable. This is not resolving abscess. It can be drained by under ultrasound guidance. Now this is contrast enhanced CT scan abdomen taken at the level of liver, and this is portal venous phase because liver is homogeneously enhancing, and it is demonstrating the hepatic abscess, and this type of image is called as this type of lesion is demonstrating double target sign. This is called as double target sign. So internal cavity is showing fluid with a thick enhancing wall. This whitish wall is enhancing wall. This is the first line, and the second line is produced by the circular line is produced by the edema. So hepatic abscess surrounded by edema, and this is called as double target sign. This is portal vein, aorta, right kidney, and bowel loops are visualized, and part of the gallbladder is also visualized in this section. Now this is again contrast enhanced CT scan abdomen taken at the level of liver, and now please tell the double target sign again. Okay. Double target sign. Here you can appreciate this whitish line. This whitish line is the wall of this abscess cavity, and it is enhancing. That's why it is white. Okay, and it is surrounded by, and we call it enhancing wall, and it is surrounded by this hypodensity. This hypodensity. So this hypodensity is produced by edema. That's why it is called as double target signs. One wall is formed by this one line, circumferential line is formed by the enhancing wall, and other one is formed by this edema, surrounding edema. That's why it is called as double target sign. Okay, we measure it. Simply we measure it. The wall will be measured from here to here. This is wall of the abscess cavity. The features of simple cyst is not the complicated cyst or complex cyst. Simple cyst has non-measurable wall, and the fluid is anechoic. But when it becomes complex, it will have a measurable wall. So you can measure the wall from here to here or onto this. For the CT scan, you can measure wall from here to here, and lesion will be measured from here to here. Now this is again contrast enhanced CT scan abdomen. Portal venous phase taken at the level of liver, demonstrating multiple abscess cavities, and this is called as cluster sign. Multiple abscesses are seen in the right lobe of liver. There is aggregate of multiple abscesses. This is called as cluster sign. Again, you can see enhancing wall, but edema has reduced. This is edema, but it has reduced. These abscess cavity will eventually coalesce and form a single cavity. And this type of abscess cannot be drained under ultrasound guidance. It will need incision and drainage. And pigtail cannot be inserted in this type of abscess because it has multiple cavities. This type of abscess can be drained under ultrasound guidance because it has only single cavity, while this type of abscess has multiple cavities. So it cannot be drained under ultrasound guidance. Even pigtail can also can't be inserted in this type of cavity. Now coming to the hepatoma, this is ultrasound of the liver, right lobe of liver, demonstrating there is a large solid heterogeneous mass involving the segment 7. This is diaphragm, and it has lobulated margins, and this is hyperechoic. On ultrasound, the whitish lesion will be hyperechoic, and the blackish lesion or grayish lesion will be hypoechoic. And this black area is the anechoic. So this is hyper heterogeneous mass with heterogeneous ecotexture involving the right lobe of liver. And these are the portal triads. So this is hepatoma. Any solid mass in the liver is hepatoma until proven otherwise. Especially if the on the background of cirrhosis. So there is this is ultrasound liver demonstrating a solid hypoechoic mass. Yes, air on ultrasound is hyperechoic and it gives ring down artifacts. So this is a well-defined hypoechoic lesion in the right lobe of liver, and again this is hepatoma. Hepatoma can present in any echogenicity. It can be hyperechoic, it can be hypoechoic, and it can be heterogeneous. Now this is contrast enhanced CT scan abdomen. This section is taken at the level of liver. This is arterial phase. Here you can see contrast is seen in the aorta, and now contrast has faded out and there is homogeneous enhancement of the liver. So this is portal venous phase and this is arterial phase. For the evaluation of hepatoma, we perform this triphasic CT scan. First phase is the plain CT, then the arterial phase and the venous phase. Because hepatoma, what is the blood supply of hepatoma? Anybody? How many students are there? There are 195 students. No, portal vein is not the blood supply for hepatoma. Hepatoma is supplied by hepatic artery. Out of 196 students, only single student is giving answer. Hepatoma is supplied by hepatic artery. It is not supplied by portal vein. Rest Liver is supplied 70% by the portal vein and 30% by the hepatic artery, but hepatoma takes its blood supply from the hepatic artery. That's why it enhances during arterial phase. So here you can see it is enhancing on the arterial phase, and in venous phase there is washout of contrast. That's why we perform triphasic CT scans for hepatoma. One thing more I would like to add, thrombus is seen in the portal vein. This is portal vein, and a hypodense thrombus is seen in the portal vein. So this is tumoral thrombus. Same patient, this is contrast enhanced CT scan abdomen, coronal section demonstrating the hepatoma and the thrombus in the portal vein. Hepatoma will enhance on arterial phase and will show washout on venous phase. Here you, I will repeat again. It will enhance on arterial phase and shows in washout on venous phase. Now, what about this? This is hydrated cyst on CT scan. Again, contrast in CT scan abdomen taken at the level of liver, demonstrating a large cystic fluid attenuation of fluid density structure lesion with multiple daughter cysts. This is typical hydrated cyst. And here you can see the wall is non-measurable. This thin wall. Now coming to the acute appendicitis, the signs of appendicitis which are seen on ultrasound is outer to outer diameter will be more than 6 millimeter, and there will be inflammation of the periappendiceal pad, and it will appear hyperechoic on ultrasound, and fecolith can be seen or appendicolith, and on power Doppler ultrasound there will be hypervascularity. Now when we put probe in the right iliac fossa, this type of image is seen. This is normal appendix, this is transverse section, and this is longitudinal section demonstrating the appendix. This is normal appendix, and surrounding fat is not hyperechoic, this is hypoechoic. Now this is inflamed fat, inflamed appendix, and this is blind and tubular structure, fluid-filled, distended tubular structure with thick wall, and diameter is more than 6 millimeter and surrounded by hyperechoic inflamed fat. Here you can see inflamed fat is surrounding the inflamed appendix. Here it is hypoechoic and this is hyperechoic. Now the appendix on CT scan, this is normal appendix. This is transverse section of the appendix. Both are axial sections, but in this plane it is transversely oriented, and in this longitudinally oriented. This is appendix with the tail loculi. This is normal appendix, while this is inflamed appendix. Now this is fluid-filled, distended, and has thick wall with periappendiceal fat stranding. On CT scan, we call it inflammation of the surrounding fat, shows increased density, linear densities, and this is called as fat stranding. It is seen in inflammation and the carcinomas. So this is distended, fluid-filled, thick-walled appendix with periappendiceal fat stranding on CT scan. You can differentiate between the size of the appendix. This is normal appendix and this is inflamed distended appendix in the right iliac fossa. Again, this is inflamed appendix distended fluid-filled thick-walled appendix with periappendiceal fat strand. This is normal fat. This is normal fat. This is inflamed fat, showing fat stranding. This is coronal section of the CT scan demonstrating the inflamed appendix with periappendiceal fat strand. Now, next is the acute cholecystitis. The signs of cholecystitis are the gallbladder wall thickening. Hydropic gallbladder means the gallbladder will be non-compressible on the ultrasound. And Murphy's sign, sonographic Murphy's sign is positive. This is normal gallbladder. I told you this is fundus and the neck, and wall is less than 3 millimeter. This is inflamed gallbladder or case of acute cholecystitis. The gallbladder is normally distended and sludge is seen within the gallbladder with multiple gallstones, and wall is thickened and it is surrounded by streak of fluid. This is a streak of fluid. So this is a case of acute calculus cholecystitis. This is cholelithiasis. Gallbladder is normally distended and the wall is not thickened, but multiple calculi are seen within the gallbladder, giving posterior acoustic shadowing. Posterior acoustic shadowing was produced by the um, bone and the calcified structures. You cannot appreciate any structure beyond this point. Only black shadowing is seen because all the sound waves are absorbed by this calcified structure. No reflection of sound waves is seen. That's why posterior acoustic shadowing is seen over here. Multiple stones are seen within the gallbladder. This is the case of a cholelithiasis without cholecystitis. This is normal gallbladder on CT scan. Contrast enhanced CT scan demonstrating normal gallbladder. And here you can appreciate enhancing wall of the gallbladder with multiple calculi. This is faceted calculus and this is the homogeneously calcified calculus. And it is surrounded by pericholecystic fluid. This is pericholecystic fluid. So this is a case of acute calculus cholecystitis on CT scan. The modality of choice for the evaluation of gallbladder is it ultrasound or CT scan? Anyone? Ultrasound. Very good. Ultrasound is the modality of choice for the evaluation of gallbladder. Again, this is a case of acalculous cholecystitis demonstrating normally distended gallbladder with thick wall, thick enhancing wall, and it is surrounded by pericholecystic fluid. So gallbladder is also septated. This is a case of acalculous cholecystitis and it is seen in typhoid fever, hepatitis or any other uh, inflammatory condition in the abdomen. Now coming to the signs of small bowel obstruction on X-ray abdomen. Three major signs is the candy cane appearance is seen in the erect posture, and the more than 2 to 3 distended small bowel loops. So show more than 3 to 5 more gas fluid levels. After 3 to 5 hours of the onset of obstruction, and gas fluid levels more than 2.5 centimeter wide. Now this is a X-ray abdomen, and this is taken in the erect posture. This is not supine. This is not taken in supine position. And difference between the supine position and the erect posture is the air fluid levels. In erect posture, you will find the air fluid level. Normally 2 to 3 air fluid levels are normal, but more than 3 air fluid levels are abnormal. Here you can see multiple air fluid levels. These are the air fluid levels, and these are giving a candy cane appearance. These are air fluid levels, and one of the air fluid level is more than 2.5 centimeter wide. So if this type of image is seen, it will indicate a small bowel obstruction. This is step ladder pattern. Multiple air fluid levels seen in the step ladder fashion. This is again a sign of small bowel obstruction. Large bowel is not visualized in this X-ray. It is demonstrating step ladder pattern as well as the candy cane appearance. Again, this is X-ray abdomen. Is it a supine X-ray or erect X-ray? The first one. Is this X-ray is taken in supine position? First one. Anyone? Out of 203 students. Yes, this is taken in supine position. Here the loops are air filled, and valvuli conjunctus is also visualized through and through from one wall to other wall. So this is X-ray abdomen in supine posture, and this is X-ray abdomen of the same patient. This is taken in the erect posture. Candy cane appearance is seen, and the air fluid level is seen in this image. This arrow is indicating the valvuli conjunctus. You can appreciate valvuli. So these bowel loops are distended more than 2.5 centimeter, and they are showing valvuli. They are distended. No air is seen in the large bowel. So this is a case of small bowel obstruction, and no air is seen in rectum as well. Multiple air fluid levels are seen in this X-ray. So this is a case of the small bowel obstruction. Okay. Now coming to the types of small bowel obstruction, there are three types. The first one is the complete obstruction. Then the other two are the partial obstruction, high grade partial obstruction or low grade partial obstruction. In complete obstruction, no bowel loops are seen beyond the point of transition. This is the point of transition, and no bowel loop will be visualized after the point of transition. But in case of partial obstruction, and this type of image is seen in the contrast fluoroscopic images, and in case of high grade partial obstruction, the valvuli will be deformed, and there will be delay in the passage of the contrast through the point of obstruction. While in low grade partial obstruction, there will be no delay in the passage of contrast, and valvuli will not be deformed. Now this is what type of obstruction can you see in this X-ray abdomen? This is not, sorry, X-ray abdomen. This is barium follow through, gastrographin follow through. Is the obstruction present at the level of air fluid level? Complete obstruction. This is complete obstruction. No passage of contrast is seen beyond this point. This is at the level of jejunum. Again, this is a spot film from the barium follow through, demonstrating what type of obstruction. This is partial obstruction, high grade or low grade? High grade partial obstruction. In high grade partial obstruction, there will be delay in the passage of the contrast, and the valvuli will be deformed. So in this spot films, valvulae are not deformed. This is low-grade partial obstruction, and passage of contrast is seen beyond the point of transition. And now coming to the CT scan finding of the small bowel obstruction, the bowel loops will be dilated more than 2.5 centimeter proximally, and the caliper of the small bowel will be collapsed, or they are of normal caliber distally. And small bowel feces sign is seen. Small bowel feces sign is gas bubbles are mixed with the fecal matter, and there will be a point of transition, and point of transition is visualized as a triangular beak immediately beyond the dilated segment. I'm showing you, just wait. So this is contrast in NCT scan abdomen taken at the level of iliac fossa, demonstrating a dilated bowel loop. This is dilated bowel loop, small bowel loop. It is more than 2.5 centimeter, and it is demonstrating small bowel feces sign. Here you can see mottled appearance. Rare lucencies are seen mixed with the fecal matter, and this is point of transition. There is circumferential mural thickening is seen at this point. As we can appreciate wall of the bowel on CT scan, so we can also report about the wall thickening. So here you can see circumferential mural thickening of the small bowel. This is point of transition. This is a small bowel feces sign. This is high grade. This is almost complete obstruction of the small bowel loops. Multiple dilated fluid-filled bowel loops are seen on CT scan, and at transition point, a beak is seen. When no mass or wall thickening is visualized on CT scan at the point of transition, then think about adhesions. This small bowel obstruction is due to adhesions, because no mass can be appreciated over here, and no inflammatory condition is also visualized. So this small bowel obstruction is due to adhesions. This is complete obstruction. Then comes the large bowel obstruction. Multiple dilated bowel loops are seen in this section. This is X-ray abdomen, sorry. And here you can see the ascending colon and descending colon is dilated and air filled, and no air is seen beyond the distal descending colon. So this is the point of transition for the obstruction. Small bowel loops are also dilated. This is barium enema for the large bowel obstruction. A large segment of narrowing is seen in distal descending colon. This is point of transition. Proximally, there is a stasis and of the contrast, and proximal loop of bowel is distended. This is apple core appearance on barium enema. Here you can see a short segment narrowing is seen involving the ascending colon. So this is apple core appearance on the uh, barium enema, and it is produced by apple core appearance is produced by which disease? You are final year people, 201 students. No, not by cone. Apple cone, CA colon, very good. Apple core appearance is produced by the CA colon on barium enema. This is contrast in NCT scan abdomen, demonstrating a short segment circumferential mural thickening involving the transverse colon. and this is apple core appearance on the CT scan, and this is produced by the air-filled dilated bowel loops. These are air-filled dilated bowel loops producing apple core appearance on CT scan. For large bowel, the diameter should be more than 5 centimeter. Okay, this is any question answers.